everyone. Wayne Motts, the President Emeritus and historian at the Gettysburg Foundation, on the field for an episode of Wall of Faces, Casualties at Gettysburg. And for those of you that have been following us, you know we're doing one Union and one Confederate biographical sketch placed on the battlefield where these men were killed, wounded, or captured, and they're on our Wall of Faces inside the Museum of the American Civil War at the Gettysburg National Military Parks Visitor Center. Today, we're going to profile a Union and Confederate soldier. Both these men are officers, and we're going to start with William Barksdale of the Confederate Army, Brigadier General, mortally wounded here in the Battle of Gettysburg. General Barksdale was born August 21st, 1821 in Tennessee. He went to University in Nashville. He moved to Columbus, Mississippi, and practiced law before the American Civil War. He became an officer in the Mexican War, and after that was elected to Congress in 1852. And he was in Congress between 1852 and 1861. When the Civil War broke out, he became the colonel of the 13th Mississippi Volunteer Infantry Regiment. And this is a unit, for some of the viewers that know the history of the Civil War, heavily engaged in numerous places, but most particularly, the Mississippians are at Fredericksburg in the homes right across the Rappahannock River before the Union Army crosses. Now, Barksdale becomes brigade commander, active on the 29th of June, 1862, when the brigade commander, a man named Griffin, was wounded, mortally wounded, and Barksdale assumes command of the brigade, and then he gets a permanent brigadier general star in August of 1862. At the Battle of Gettysburg, he's commanding the 13th, the 17th, the 18th, and the 21st Mississippi Volunteer Infantry Regiment here in the battle. His brigade, about 1,400 soldiers or so, in Lafayette McLaws' division of General Longstreet's Confederate Corps. And these troops are going to charge and attack not only Joseph Scherfy's house, but the Scherfy Peach Orchard. General Barksdale's brigade is going to be right up against one of the artillery units from the state of Massachusetts, the 9th Massachusetts Independent Battery, and our next story is going to revolve around that. But let's pick up General Barksdale. July 2nd, about 6 o'clock, Barksdale's brigade attacks the Peach Orchard at Joseph Scherfy Farm. They're going to come right down here through where the Trostle House property is, and beyond over my right shoulder to the left of your view, in the valley between the Trostle Farm and Cemetery Ridge, General Barksdale will be struck in the left lung and left leg a couple times by rifle bullets. He will lay out on the battlefield, and a member of Goulian Weir's battery, one of the officers, named Homer Baldwin, and this is what Lieutenant Baldwin of Battery C, 5th United States Artillery says. He says, quote, General Barksdale of Mississippi was wounded in front of our battery on the 2nd. I gave him brandy and water that I got off a surgeon and fixed him up as comfortably as possible, end quote. On the evening of July 2nd, Barksdale is still lying out on the battlefield, and members of the 12th Vermont pick him up and take him to the Jacob Hummelball home, where he is treated by a surgeon in the 148th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry Regiment named Alfred Hamilton. This is what Sergeant Hamilton says. Large, corpulent, refined in appearance, bold in general physique and mental makeup indicated fitness, endurance, vigor, quick perception. He was dressed in their jeans of their choice. Short, roundabout, was trimmed on sleeves with gold braid, with Mississippi buttons, with a star in the center close to it. The collar had 3 stars on each side next to his chin. Next to his body was a fine linen or cotton shirt that was closed by 3 studs bearing Masonic emblems. General Barksdale was a Freemason. His pants had 2 stripes and gold braids a ½ an inch broad. Barksdale will remain at this hospital and die the next day. He will be buried in the yard, and then he will be taken off the Gettysburg battlefield after the Civil War and buried in the cemetery in Jackson, Mississippi. Today, William Barksdale rests in Jackson, Mississippi, mortally wounded July 2nd, 1863, fighting against General Sickles' 3rd Union Army Corps troops. Now, the battery that Barksdale's brigade goes up against, one of the artillery batteries, is the 9th Massachusetts Artillery Unit, here at Gettysburg, and one of the officers is going to be the subject of our next sketch. This is the battery, that's the 9th Massachusetts Artillery Battery. This fought along the Wheatfield Road, and one of the officers is Lieutenant Christopher Erickson. And Lieutenant Erickson was born in 1835. He says that he was born in Sweden, but some of the records claim that he was actually born in Norway. He comes to the United States in 1854. He will become a cabinet maker. He is in the United States Census in 1860 as a cabinet maker. He actually has a furniture business. When he got to the United States, he joined a local artillery militia unit, and he stays with the militia unit before the Civil War with this company. He's married to Maria Erickson in May of 1857. He's the father of 2 children. And in 1860 census, of course, as I mentioned before, he is listed as cabinet maker. He becomes a senior first lieutenant in 1861 of the 9th Massachusetts Artillery Battery right here behind me. This is one of their last positions on the battlefield out here for July 2nd, right near where we're at. This unit up along where the Wheatfield Road is, up against Barksdale's Mississippians and against Confederate artillery. Erickson struck in the chest by a piece of shell. He's actually coughing up blood, and one of the battery soldiers, a man named Charles Reed, who's the bugler for the 9th Mass, he actually gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. He sketches Lieutenant Erickson coughing up this blood. Erickson is trying to get these guns off of the battlefield. He stays in the saddle with his unit on July 2nd as those guns are trying to retreat back. Many of the horses in this unit are killed, and unfortunately for Lieutenant Erickson, he's shot instantly in the head after receiving this chest wound and killed here on July 2nd, 1863. Now, his body was buried out here on the battlefield. It was recovered by his wife Maria, and it was sent to the Cambridge Cemetery in Boston, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Mass, Boston area, and buried there on July 29, I'm going to check my notes, make sure I get the right date, July 29, 1863. Christopher Erickson, killed in the Battle of Gettysburg, our Union subject today for our Wall of Faces, Casualties at Gettysburg, a member of the 9th Massachusetts Artillery Battery, and Brigadier General William Barksdale, Mississippi commander of the Mississippi Brigade here at Gettysburg under Lafayette McLaws and General Longstreet, buried in Jackson, Mississippi, mortally wounded on July 2nd and dying on July 3rd. Hope you've enjoyed this installment of Wall of Faces, Casualties at Gettysburg. Please tune in, like us, share the video content, and thanks for your support.